Hi there! Welcome back to Comfy Cozy Crochet with Tris. I am Tris, and this is Movie and Stitch. As many of you may have seen before, if you've seen any of my past Movie and Stitch videos, this is in collaboration with Terri from the Yarnjoy podcast, Ella from No Catchy Name, Valerie from Cuddly Cat Crochet, and Lee Mac. I will link them down below. Reggie from J-Hook Crochet, Heather from the Crochet Witch, Debbie from the Canadian Crocheter, several other people are participating. All you have to do is search hashtag Movie and Stitch, or right down below in the video name, you should see it lit up in blue, hashtag Movie and Stitch. If you click that, you will get shown all of the Movie and Stitch videos that we've got going on right now. Basically, we are taking a 2-week period, and we are picking going down the list of the alphabet and picking a movie or two, in my case, or 3 or 4, that begins with that letter, and we are crocheting. And it's a crochet along all year long. If you're interested, I'm sure everybody would love it if you would join. Just make sure you do hashtag Movie and Stitch. So this week is the letter D. I actually had a little bit of a difficulty finding movies that began with the letter D that I was interested in that I hadn't already seen before. And right off the top of my head, I had several that I had seen that I was interested in watching again and revisiting and working on crochet with, but I was really struggling. So I tried to go on Netflix and different stuff and put in the letter D and see what happens, and I just got everything under the sun that had the letter D in it, not beginning with. I did a couple quick Google searches, and I could have delved further into that. I didn't. But anyway, my husband was like, what about Daybreakers? Have you ever seen that movie before? Now, this is a vampire movie. If you hate vampire movies, don't watch it. It's a vampire flick. But it is starring Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, and Sam Neill. These are all actors that I really appreciate in a lot of different films, and I thought, you know, let's go ahead and give it a shot. I'm not finding anything else that I'm even remotely interested in, and I don't want to watch just something I've seen before. I've kind of made this a really fun challenge to myself this year of finding something from every letter of the alphabet, at least one thing that I have not seen before. And I am planning to go back and watch one of the A movies that I had not seen previously. I have heard several people reference the movie Arsenic and Lace, or something like that. Anyway, I have it written down, so if I've butchered that, I really apologize. But everybody says that I need to go back and watch that one. So I'm going to watch that one, and I wanted to watch Amelie, that Debbie from the Canadian Crocheter had watched. So I've got a couple A movies that I need to go back and watch, but I decided, okay, what the heck, let's watch Daybreakers. I enjoy a vampire movie. I like the sweet, syrupy sweet vampire movies, and I like the, more intense like Blade and Underworld movies and things like that. This was kind of an interesting spin. This was like vampirism was a plague on society. Basically, it was a pandemic, and the entire world turned vampire, and they were running out of humans. If you were bitten, you changed. That's all there is to it. And because of that, there wasn't any. They were running out of human blood. So one big institute was supposedly trying to find a blood substitute so that everybody could stay alive. That being said, when people weren't getting enough blood, they were turning into these vile bat-like creatures that were just completely out of their minds, and kind of a weird bat mutation, not human anything. And so they were like, we're gonna, and then they die if it got even worse than that. So the head hematologist was Ethan Hawke, and he was trying really, really hard to find a blood substitute, and he did not drink human blood. He only drank like pig's blood and things like that. And there were several people who were literally out hunting humans in order to farm their blood, yada, yada, yada. So there's like kind of a quick synopsis, but this was a movie made in 2009. It is rated R. It is 1 hour and 38 minutes. It is listed as action, adventure, fantasy. It says in the year, oh, this is extra funny. It says in the year 2019. They thought like just a few years ahead. In the year 2019, a plague has transformed almost every human into vampires. Faced with a dwindling blood supply, the fractured dominant race plots their survival. Meanwhile, a researcher works with a covert band of vamps on a way to save humankind. So this was kind of a really interesting take on it. It was a somber movie. It was mostly fairly slow. It was very quiet. I remember in the very beginning, they showed several different like newspaper articles and things like that, headlines and such. And then they kind of showed this guy go through his day. And my husband finally turned to me and said, I promise there are words in this film. I promise it's not a silent film. Like 5 minutes in, because there was still not a single word uttered. I did enjoy this film. I would probably give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Would I recommend it if you loved Willem Dafoe? Yes. Would I recommend it if you loved vampire movies? Absolutely. Especially if you like the more action-y, more harrowing side of it. This was not a love story. This was definitely more science-y, a little bit more sci-fi. It was definitely, how do we get out of the mess that we're in? The world is in crisis. So anyway, I enjoyed it. I love Willem Dafoe. I thought he was amazing in this, just like in everything else I've seen him in. So I enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Sure. If nothing else is on, I would definitely watch it again. It didn't wow me. It didn't knock my socks off, but hey, I watched a D movie that I had not seen before, and I didn't hate it. Awesome. So what did I work on while I was watching this movie, you ask? Well, this is my Hope Springs shawl that I am working on at the moment. How pretty is that? If I do say so myself. It's not my pattern, so I'm allowed to say that, right? This is the Hope Springs shawl by my friend Sharon over at the Stitch Foundry. And she so graciously shared her pattern with me because I said, hey, I would love to do that in an ombre yarn. What do you think? And she goes, yeah, try it out. I said, okay, thanks. It's so pretty, isn't it? It's just a 2-row repeat. If you don't know Sharon over at the Stitch Foundry, please go check her out. She will be listed down below. And this is so much fun to just zone out and work on while I'm watching TV or movies, as the case may be, and was this week. So this is Red Heart Super Saver Ombre in the color Sea Coral. It is 10 ounces, 283 grams, 482 yards, 440 meters, 100% acrylic for medium worsted weight, calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook, machine wash and dry, 100% acrylic. So this will just be a super easy wash and wear type shawl that I can throw over my shoulders if I'm wearing something dressy, or I can wear it kind of scarf-like around my neck. It's a little, maybe a little on the big side for that because I've just been so enjoying it that I just keep going and going and going. But so thanks to Sharon for sharing this pattern with me. I'm really, really enjoying it. I cannot wait to make several more. So that's what I was working on when I was watching Daybreakers. Now, if you've seen my previous video, you will know that I had a couple more plans to watch other movies that began with D that I wanted to share with you all as well. So, as many of you may have seen in the previous video, I was looking at other D movies and I had several that I'd like to revisit. I went ahead and watched Definitely Maybe again, starring Ryan Reynolds, Rachel Weisz, Elizabeth Banks, and of course the impeccable Isla Fisher, with an amazing childhood role by Abigail Breslin, playing Ryan Reynolds' daughter. Definitely Maybe was released in 2008. It is rated PG-13. It is 1 hour and 52-minute runtime. And it says a political consultant tries to explain his impending divorce and past relationships to his 11-year-old daughter. A decent enough synopsis. I'm going to say that because of an impending divorce, the daughter kind of decides, maybe if you tell me how you met my mom, you'll decide that you really love her and it's not that complicated and you guys could work it out. If you just tell me the story, maybe you'd realize that. And so he says, fine, I will go ahead and tell you the story about how I met your mom, but I'm going to change some of the facts, I'm going to change the dates, and I'm going to for sure change names. So you're not going to know which one your mom is, and it's going to be like a mystery love story. And it's super cute. It's Ryan Reynolds, it's Abigail Breslin as a child, and it's all these beautiful women who just are funny and smart and witty and empowered, and it's a really, really fun film. It's a chick flick, it's a romantic comedy. If you don't like them, don't watch it. But if you love a chick flick, I would highly, highly recommend this one. Absolutely 5 out of 5 stars for me. Love the banter that Ryan Reynolds has with just about everyone. Is there anyone he doesn't have chemistry with in this entire world? Super, super fun movie. So a little bit of trivia here. There was almost next to nothing as far as trivia goes for Daybreakers, so excuse me on that one. One thing was that it was released on January 8th, which was Elvis Presley's birthday, and Willem Dafoe's character's nickname was Elvis because he loved the song Burnin' Love. Which, who doesn't love that song, right? But that's like the only little bit of trivia that was even remotely interesting in my opinion that I could find. Now, as far as Definitely Maybe, Rachel Weisz was originally set to play the character of Emily, which ended up going to Elizabeth Banks, and Rachel Weisz ended up playing the role of Summer, so they sort of swapped roles there. So, one little bit of fact here is that when Will and April are talking after he leaves the birthday party, he mentions the song Come As You Are by Nirvana. Will says the line from the song is, as a friend, as a known enemy. Rachel laughs and corrects him, saying it's as a friend, as an old memory. The actual lyric is, come as a friend, as an old enemy. So they both had it wrong. Another little bit of trivia is that out of the 4 leads, Ryan Reynolds, Rachel Weisz, Elizabeth Banks, Isla Fisher, only one of them is American. That would be Elizabeth Banks. Everyone else is actually a different nationality. Ryan Reynolds is Canadian, Rachel Weisz is British, and Isla Fisher is an Australian. The cast is definitely an ensemble. It is featuring Kevin Kline, who is an Oscar winner, Rachel Weisz, who is also an Oscar winner, and Oscar nominee Abigail Breslin. So there's definitely some clout going on in the film. Kevin Kline is really outstanding in this film as well, as always. He definitely steals several scenes and is laugh out loud funny in several of them. So another really hilarious little fact here is that the Two Guys Deli that's featured in the film several times is actually not a real bodega in New York City. And people would come in and try to buy things even though it was made for the movie. And the production almost got a citation from the city inspector for selling cigarettes without the tax stamps, as he didn't realize it was just a set. And because people kept coming in and taking things, it was kind of hard to convince them that, hey, this is just a set. I thought that was actually really, really funny, and glad they didn't end up getting fined. And the last little bit of trivia would be the same as the Adjustment Bureau, that this is another one of these films that Warner Brothers has given the number of in order to not do the 555 blah 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 number given out. So in the Adjustment Bureau, Emily Blunt's character gives Matt Damon's character the number, and she gives this number that is the Warner Brothers studio number, that if you call it, it just rings and rings and rings, nobody answers, and it is left for exactly that purpose. Same thing happens here when Emily gives Bill her phone number in the film. So kind of hilarious that Warner Brothers has a working phone line that just rings and rings and rings, and no one will answer no matter how often you call or how long you stay on the line. So kind of a fun little bit of trivia there, and I think it's hilarious that they've got that going, and very smart, because then they can give out the number without having everybody just completely bombard somebody else's unfortunate number. So I am almost finished with my shawl here. I will be finishing it up. I will probably be watching Dangerous Minds, starring Michelle Pfeiffer, in the next day or two, just to kind of finish that up. And you can never go wrong with Dangerous Minds. If you have not seen this, it is a wonderful film filmed in the 90s. If you have not seen Dangerous Minds, it is starring Michelle Pfeiffer. It was released in 1995 with a rated R rating. It is 1 hour and 39 minutes. It is listed as biography and drama. It is the real life story of Luann Johnson, who was a former Marine, battered spouse, turned teacher, once she gets out of a nasty relationship with her ex-husband, and she basically finds herself teaching these really, really rough high schoolers in need who are dead set to run off any teacher that's been there in the last few years. The last like 3 have had mental breakdowns, they've said, and such. And this film is based off of her book, My Posse Don't Do Homework, so you can look that up. This is an excellent film. I don't think it won any awards, but it should have. I lied. It actually did get an American Music Award for Best Soundtrack, and it's definitely got a really interesting soundtrack. So definitely check that out if you have a mind to. There's everything from Bob Dylan to Coolio on it, so really, really eclectic there, but excellent movie. A little bit hard hitting. You might need some tissues. You're also going to have a few laughs. It's a really, really amazing film. So I plan on watching that in the next day or two, finishing up my awesome shawl here, and let me know what you guys watched. All right, so what am I going to watch in the next couple of weeks for E, you ask? I don't really know. It seems like E is not a popular letter for naming films. I have several that are some of my favorite films of all times that begin with E. I am very excited to revisit those, such as Eat, Pray, Love, a wonderful, one of my favorite books and favorite movies, autobiographical, of Elizabeth Gilbert, played by Julia Roberts. Erin Brockovich, oh my gosh, oddly enough, a biographical portrayal of Erin Brockovich by Julia Roberts. Excellent, excellent film. I could watch that on repeat. Both of those, wow, excellent films. Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Sean Connery. Eagle Eye, Enemy of the State. I mean, so many really good E movies, but I guess I've seen the majority of the ones that I'm interested in. So please let me know down below. I'm in need of suggestions for E of things that I have not seen. I'm not really very big into horror. I'm not a huge sci-fi buff, but I love action. I love romantic comedy. I'm open to suggestions, so let me know what it is you'd suggest for E. What are you watching for E if you guys are participating? And I hope you're having a great day, evening, week, weekend, whenever you're watching this. Until next time, you guys. See you later. Have a good one.